After having an emotional and mental breakdown that would result in Kaneki cannibalizing multiple Ogai, he would transform into a monstrous Kakuja monster referred to as the Dragon and go on a rampage throughout all of Tokyo, taking multiple lives while destroying a fair portion of Tokyo itself. This video will be explaining what happened after Kaneki would begin to regain some sort of consciousness within his mind and how he managed to convince himself to move forward. This is one of many moments of Tokyo Ghoul that the anime did not cover, so if you only saw the anime, it's quite important that you watch this video. With that said, let's get into it. As we enter Kaneki's mindscape, we see a huge sea embedded with multiple torii gates, and we zoom into the house he's currently in, only to see him laying on the floor. As Kaneki wakes up, he questions his surroundings as he clearly doesn't remember how he ended up here, and he heads towards the door. Once opening it, he sees the same seascape we saw before entering his point of view. This makes Kaneki worry, and he begins asking for Toka and the rest of his friends, searching throughout the place to try and find anybody that he possibly can. As he endlessly wanders, he tries to recollect his memories. He asks if he's in a dream, then tries to figure out what led to him being here, saying that he first went back to the hideout, fought the CCG, and then what happened? Suzuya stopped me, and then I ate some of them to save everyone. And then I remember feeling like I was being absorbed into something big. After that, I don't remember anything. Kaneki points out that his mind faded and his thoughts stopped. There was only darkness from there, and he's wondering, is he asleep right now, or is he awake, or is he even dead? He doesn't know. But what he knows for certain is that he needs to get back. He has to go back. He begins to run through the corridors, running and running until he reaches the torii gates outside. Once arriving at the torii gates, Kaneki looks at the water and makes the decision to jump in and begin running in the water. As Kaneki pushes himself through the water, his running becomes swimming. And as he swims and swims, he begins to drown and the waves are just way too strong. He can't even move right. Kaneki becomes submerged into the water, and as he looks under the water, he sees multiple dead bodies. This causes him to panic and freak out, and he asks if those were people, only to hear laughter in response. On top of a pole sits Rize, asking Kaneki where he was going, wondering if he was going to take another person's life. As the two finally meet once more, Kaneki says her name, Rize, asking what she's doing here. What is this place? And to kill someone? Rize interrupts, saying where are you going? And Kaneki says back to where everyone is. I have to help them, only for Rize to say who's everyone. And Kaneki says Naki, Miza, Hinami, Hiriko, Fuka, Toka, maybe even Tsukiyama's there with some reinforcements, back to the goat's hideout. The CCG is after us, only for Rize to scoff at what he's saying and begin laughing. She says the doves. No, Kaneki, the doves went after them because you were there. You're the one-eyed king. You said so yourself, didn't you? You thought you were just protecting ghouls, but you were the one who put them in harm's way. What were you going to do when you got back? Kaneki stumbles to find an answer, but he says I was going to protect the goat from the raid, to rebuild ourselves. And then we need to ambush the CCG before solving our food shortage. And Rize's like, why? To defeat them? Defeat Furuta? Then what? And Kaneki says, and then talk. We'll have a dialogue so ghouls and humans can understand one another. To do that, we had to pacify the CCG. And Rize's like, so you want to be a dictator then? You were going to use force to get what you want, right? How could humans say no to your proposal if ghouls are in charge? How is that a dialogue? And this really makes Kaneki think as he says, dictator, is that what I wanted? Maybe, but if that's what I have to do, I'll do it. And Rize's like, wow, I admire your resolve, but can you still say that after seeing this? Kaneki's confused as the setting just changed, and Rize says, this is the goat's hideout, the place you were trying to protect. I saw it, your organization being destroyed by your hands. And Kaneki just looks at Rize and she says, you think I'm lying? Do you want to make sure? Give me your hand. As Rize reaches out for Kaneki to touch her hand, their hands make contact and Kaneki's instantly hit with all of the memories and the event of him destroying Ghoul and so many people in Tokyo just going through his head, and this causes an instant shock. to which Kaneki can only react by screaming at the top of his lungs. And as he continues to scream, he realizes what he saw in the water, and Rize only confirms it, saying those were the people that you killed. Maybe now you're ready to have a dialogue. As Kaneki sobs on the ground, he states that he didn't mean for this to happen, and Rize only says protect everyone, a world where ghouls and humans can coexist. And as the weight and guilt of Kaneki's actions begin to settle in and he continues sobbing, we can only hear Rize's laughter as we see her look down on Kaneki, and we slowly move away from the two, with the gates closing behind them. She says, Kaneki, do you want to go back? Do you want to help them? As she continues to laugh in his face, she questions if he hates being helpless, and says that's pretty funny because people died because of you. You shouldn't have done anything from the start. And Kaneki only repeats this asking, I shouldn't have done anything? Anything? Nothing. And Rize says, isn't this what you want? We cut forward to Kaneki still sobbing on the ground and passed out and all. Rize asks Kaneki about the first time they met, only to get no response. As she sits there for a bit, she continues, saying when our paths cross under those steel beams, it's my worst memory. And she still gets no response, causing her to say, look, the people we killed are filling the ocean. We'll never have to worry about being hungry as long as we stay here. And Rize still says you won't even look, will you? I understand. You don't care if somebody dies. You're reckless. I can tell because I am too. I didn't care what I trampled on, as long as I could get out of that house. In that house, only the chosen were treated well. Blood was the most important thing. I had pure ghoul blood, so in that house, I was inferior. They said the more human you had, the better you were. Odd, don't you think? Becoming a seedbed, a birthing machine. That was my future. I escaped because the thought of it made me sick. I used him to get out of there. But Rize goes on to say that despite this, she was still divvied up and confined within small coffins, which were the Ogai. Kaneki puts it together, saying that they're Kakuho, they're all yours. And Rize only says, and you consumed them all. That's why we're here now. I was in pieces, but now you and I are one. That's why all of those people died. And Kaneki just says, I didn't know this would happen. So this makes Rize say, oh, so if you're ignorant or unaware, it's okay to take people's lives? And Kaneki's like, no. And Rize goes on to say that you weep over this unintended consequence, but you just couldn't see it. In fact, you didn't even try to see it. You only chose to see the beautiful parts so you could sip the clean water. Whether you want it or not, blood will spill if you fight. Only someone with no regard for life could do that. Someone like you who couldn't care less about the lives of others. And Kaneki can only respond by denying it. And Rize says, then how? How could you do it? Because you could blame others? Because you're cruel? And Kaneki can only say no to both questions, this causing Rize to ask, you think you're a good person? Kaneki says that's not it. Then she says you think you're a bad person. And Kaneki just says I don't know. And Rize goes on to say that you fought without knowing that, without any basis. And Kaneki's like, I just tried to, but she cuts him off saying, but it eventually all caught up to you. Humans died, ghouls died. Are you going to atone for that or not? How will you atone for it? By dying? Disappearing? Why are you doing it? What do you want to do? And Kaneki just says, shut up, and he yells for her to shut up repeatedly. Just let me think. And Rize says about what's already been done. You see it, you know, you understand, don't you? And Kaneki just continues to say, stop, stay out, shut up, anything to block her from his mind. And he goes on to say, I wanted to be needed by someone. From the time Mr. Yoshimura first made me coffee at Anteku, my world opened up. I had ghoul friends. Even after I became Heisei, Investigator Arima, Eto, they chose me. Toka stayed by my side. It made me feel like I was needed. It made me happy. I really thought I could belong in both worlds. You're exactly right. I didn't care about others. It didn't matter why. As long as I kept fighting, I thought I'd be needed. But I can't do it anymore because I know what I've done now. This makes Rize say, hey, we're alike. Irresponsible egotist, consoling ourselves at the expense of others. If you can't bear the blame, you can stay here. And Kaneki asks her, is this a fantasy? This world, is it my fantasy? Am I subconsciously condemning myself like I did when Yamori tortured me? And Rize just looks at him and says, maybe you're my fantasy. There's something I want to ask you. You came to see me once, when I was starving, when I was crawling like a dog. You said that ever since you met me, ever since you became what you are, you faced death countless times. Life was filled with many hardships, but you didn't hate me for it. Do you remember that? I hate you. This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't met you. I'm surprised that's not something you think. So what about now? Do you hate me now? And Kaneki takes some time to think, but he says, I think the hardships, almost dying, the misfortunes were all necessary to open my eyes, to make me meet people, because some of them were glad they met me. They needed me. I still can't hate you. So, oh, I get it now. I had happiness. And as Kaneki realizes this, he sees many more bodies fall into the water. Despite this, it doesn't cause him to break down. Instead, he steals his resolve. As Kaneki moves a little, Rize looks at him and asks if he's going. Can you cross the ocean of blood, ignoring your sins? And Kaneki simply jumps in it and says, I'll see if I can bear it. And Rize just looks at him saying, well, watching you drown could be fun. And this talk concludes with Kaneki finding the resolve to swim forward, no matter how much he's weighed down. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, thank you so much for watching all the way through, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.